Hello, MCU fans. This is going to be my Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler-free review. I'm going to look at 10 different things I was looking to get out of the movie and rank each of those on a scale of 1 to 10 to see how the movie did. Now, again, there will be no spoilers. The spoilers, those are coming tomorrow. I promise lots of videos. There is so much for us to talk about. But this, again, is a spoiler-free video, so let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have a July contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And we have a membership option with lots of cool perks, so you might check it out in case you're interested. All right, so point number 1. Did the Deadpool and Wolverine pairing work? Well, I can confidently give this a 10 out of 10. I mean, what a surprise, right? Of course we knew Hugh and Ryan were going to bring it. You are laughing the whole way through. They are so funny together. And, well, that is until they make you cry, because, man, there are some really tender scenes as well. 10 out of 10, they were awesome. You will not be disappointed. Point number 2, were the villains a worthy challenge? I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I thought Cassandra was great. She was terrific in the role. We also knew there were going to be a lot of lesser X-Men villains coming back. We saw them in the trailers. I thought they were well used. And there's a few surprise villains. So, yeah, overall, I thought the villains did a good job and they were a worthy challenge for Deadpool and Wolverine. Point number 3, did the story use the cameos effectively? So I'm kind of rating the cameos on a scale between Multiverse of Madness, which was a great movie, and the cameos were a lot of fun, but they were really in just one small part of the movie for the most part, right? The Illuminati scene, versus No Way Home, where the cameos, the 2 Spider-Men, the 5 villains, they were really an instrumental part of the entire movie. So how did Deadpool and Wolverine use its cameos? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. There were several really good cameos, some big surprises, and I felt in each case that they played a very important role and were very well integrated in the overall story. I do not think you will be disappointed by the cameos. Number 4, were the Easter eggs plentiful and crowd-pleasing? Oh my word. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It will take days to talk about all the Easter eggs. Man, oh man, oh man. From beginning to end, everywhere you looked, Easter eggs left and right. Fantastic. Number 5, did the Marvel and Disney jokes hit a home run? Well, I'm going to give this also a 10 out of 10 because they shocked me with how many they had and how far they went with them. I mean, they made fun of Marvel, made fun of Disney, made fun of Feige, made fun of Fox, made fun of the industry in general, made fun of each other. Oh my goodness. It's just so funny. Very, very good jokes. And yes, they were, many of them aimed right at Marvel and Disney. Point number 6. Were the portals explained in a way that makes sense? You remember this portal scene, the first time we saw it in the trailers, we were all like, oh my goodness, what is going on? We got to know who's doing it and where are they going. I'm going to give it a good solid 9 out of 10. I do feel that you can figure out everything there is to figure out. You kind of got to make some assumptions, and we're going to talk about this a lot in the spoiler review. But overall, I felt like they gave us a good enough explanation that we could process it. Let me know your thoughts if you felt you walked away understanding what was going on with these portals. Number 7A, did we learn how Paradox's TVA is tied to Loki's TVA? In other words, are they the same TVA? Are they 2 different TVAs? How are they related to each other? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think they could have done more, but you will not walk away wondering how they're related. I mean, they make it very clear. And for that, I give them high marks. I just would have enjoyed a little bit more of the lore around, how things were tied together. But overall, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, and we'll talk more in the spoiler review about why I didn't give it, a 10 out of 10. 7B, did we learn where Deadpool's universe is located? As you know from a lot of my videos, I've talked about the fact that I think there are separate trees, if you will. You have Paint, animated, you have the Deadpool and Wolverine universe, and the MCU. So, like a forest of trees. So did they answer this question? So I'm not going to discuss whether they answered the question the way I think it should be. That's irrelevant, and that would be a spoiler. But I am going to say I'm only going to give it a 6 out of 10 because I actually think they raised more questions than they answered. I walked out going, oh, my head is hurting. Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about this during the spoiler reviews. I really want to know your thoughts. Where would you rank the movie on this point? Did you walk out having a better idea of how the multiverse is the model works? A worse idea, or were you just overall scratching your head thinking, I need to process this for a while? All right, number 8. Did we learn how the X-Men timeline works? In particular, I'm not expecting them to explain this whole timeline, right? But in the trailers, we saw scenes from Wolverine Origins, The Wolverine, and Logan. And of course, it's implied that they're in the same universe as Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. But of course, Deadpool and Wolverine seems to be somewhere in the 2023-2024 timeframe, which is before Logan. So is there a Wolverine alive in Deadpool's universe? I mean, remember, at the end of Days of Future Past, this was the Wolverine, which, if they're all tied together, means that's the Wolverine in Deadpool's universe, I guess. So when this kid goes, oh, that's Wolverine, does he know it's Wolverine because there's still a Wolverine alive, or has he died? The X-Men timeline, my goodness. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, I do think they kind of tell you pretty well how it's all tied together. I don't know that they answer the question I'm raising here, though, which is there a Wolverine alive in Deadpool's universe? I don't know that they really answered that. So I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. I wish they'd given us a little bit more on this, but they still kind of tied things together as best as they could. Number 9, was Deadpool's final destination satisfying? Of course, there's lots of places he could have ended up at the end of the movie. One I threw out that'd be a crazy one, but it'd be a cool one, is the Marvel's post-credit scene, because we had Beast, right? He also could end up in the MCU, he could end up staying in the Void, and he could end up going back to his own universe. So, was it satisfying? Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I do think it was satisfying. It certainly made sense. You understood where he was left off. It is not what I would have thought. So we're going to talk about that in the spoiler reviews. Let me know your thoughts. Is it where you thought he would end up? And I'm not quite sure what it means, but it was at least satisfying. I mean, it was a nice ending, and so I had no problem with that. It surprised me. It really surprised me. Number 10, did the movie set up future storylines? I mean, in one of the trailers, we actually saw the Secret Wars comic in the Void, hinting at, hey, this is going to set up Secret Wars. It's going to tee it up. Even Kevin Feige said this movie is really important to the multiverse saga. So, how did I think it do? It did in setting up future storylines. Okay, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but I was struggling with how to rank this. So, first of all, I do not think it's set up as much as we thought it would, but they did introduce some interesting concepts. There's a concept that's been rumored to be in there, and sure enough it is, and it's a head scratcher, but it certainly is setting up the future. But overall, it didn't really do a lot to set up the future, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, how often have we gone to a Marvel movie and felt like, we're not seeing a full movie, instead we're seeing, part one of another movie. Like, oh, we got to come back next time if we want to see the rest. I felt this was a very good, contained story. So the only reason I'm not giving it a higher ranking is they promised it so much to be setting up the future. So we'll talk more about this in the spoiler review, obviously. But I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It did a good job of setting some things up, and I was satisfied with the movie as a whole. And then as a bonus question, I asked, were most of the trailer scenes early in the movie? Because we know how many Marvel movies have given away endings and stuff in the trailers. And it's like, stop, Marvel, stop it. So I had guessed that several of the scenes were in the last third of the movie. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because some of them were. Some of the scenes were near the end. But I will say this. In the trailers, they were done in a way that you would never have guessed the context. So even though we have seen in the trailers some of the scenes in the last third of the movie, the context was completely missing and is a total surprise. So I think Marvel did a good job. Overall, Marvel, the less you show us, the better. But overall, 8 out of 10. I'm going to give it a good, solid 8 out of 10. So how do I think this ranked overall? Well, here's my numbers. And notice I do have some that are a little lower. The 6, the 7 there are kind of low. But here's the bottom line. Those are kind of the more super fan stuff. I mean, I'm going to be looking at those things, right? And I know a lot of you that watch these videos are looking at those things. The good news is the average fan, they could care less about that. They could care less about how the X-Men timeline works or how Deadpool's universe is located or where it's located, etc. So My overall score is an 8.5 out of 10, which is very solid. You know, it's not my favorite movie ever, but it's way up there. But I do think the average fandom is probably going to be a 9.5 out of 10. I'm a little pickier because I wanted certain answers, but overall, I loved the movie. Let me stress that. So good. And if I take out some of the geekier questions, you know, the super fan questions, you can tell the score goes right up to a solid 9.5. So let me know. What was your ranking? Where did you put the movie? Which of these points were you the happiest with? Maybe which ones did you feel they didn't answer enough? But I'll tell you this, there's no doubt the movie was a love letter to the fans. It was 2 hours of absolute fun. You will love every minute of it. And yes, you may walk out in the end like me with a few questions, but you're going to really enjoy yourself. And you're going to want to see it again and again. All right, there you go. That is my review. Don't forget, July contest. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. And of course, there's that membership option in case you're interested. And I always love to mention the Discord. 1,500 members across the globe, conversations 24/7. Here we are talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. And I will mention a very minor spoiler. Skibbity Pool does not appear. Notice Robbie was thinking Skibbity Pool might show up. No, Skibbity Pool was not in the movie. I will just tell you that up front. You're going to be disappointed if you wanted Skibbity Pool. But otherwise, you're going to love the movie. So let me know your thoughts. Tell me what you felt about it. I really want to know. Like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, the ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.